to heal from the versions of us that have been feeling, wounding in certain areas and that keep us stuck in realities, whether it's with your self-image, your heart, love reality, you know, relationship reality, money reality, anything in your body, any areas of chronic aches and pain, suffering, storylines, whatever you've had. So today is about understanding, that we are an energetic being. Everything is energy. Everything is a certain frequency. And so how do we use this principle or this knowingness that everything is energy? Now, scientifically, it's been proven, but how do we actually apply that into our reality, into our lives, so that we can really live, from a place of what my heart desires, I get it. If we want love, we get love. If we want peace, we get peace. If we want abundance, we get abundance, because we're not after things, we're after feelings, we're after certain values that we want to live. And those things enable us. When we have a great partner, it enables us to feel safe, appreciated, and the sense of being home. When we have money, we feel the sense of freedom that we can get anything, we can experience anything, we can buy anything. So you see, you're really not after the things, but you're really after the values that are important to you, that you can experience. Maybe your values freedom, like those, that's one of my biggest values. So we are going to get into this today and really help you understand, okay, well, if anything, everything is energy and everything is frequency. How do I get into the highest frequency? How do I become an energetic match to becoming that healed version of me? Because this is an healing container. This is all about bringing you to that healed version of you, bringing you to that version of you that feels whole, and your electromagnetic signature changes, your field changes, the energy you exude in the world has now shifted, because you no longer are in storylines, energy, vibration, consciousness of I'm broken, or this happened to me, or that happened to me, but you are living in your potential and the excitement of possibilities in your life, all higher frequencies, rather than lack, pain, suffering, and the contraction of your being and your soul and your human, versus the expansion that, what, bring it on. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? That's what I'm going to experience. But so I really want to be able to invite you to use this module for your greatest good, for shifting gears, like really going high, really pressing that, putting your pedal on the gas and going, you know what, I'm freaking leaning in. I'm doing this. Enough with the suffering, enough with, this happened, that happened, and enough with the sitting and questioning, how am I going to heal? Like, are you ready? Are you ready to jump? Because you're here, we're going to jump. It doesn't take long to heal. It is a decision. Does that mean those wounds wouldn't come up? They will absolutely come up, but the way you deal with them will obviously change, right? Yeah, so let's talk about what we've done in the last 2 weeks, kind of a recap for some of you who are going to catch up on the replays, and you probably necessarily haven't been on live calls, because I understand each one of you, a lot of you are actually in different time zones. So week 1 was really an introduction to what hyperspeed healing is, really understanding, well, A, we get to, and B, it's a decision. Simple. Healing is so simple. We make it so complex. We go on years and years of hamster wheel, getting on a hamster wheel of I need to heal, I need to do this. This is the next thing. This is the next one. This is the next story. And all of that is fine. Like, I am a big believer of evolution over a lifetime, evolution and growth over a lifetime. However, we do not have to continuously fix ourselves. We can be in the energy of I'm experiencing life, I'm feeling the expansion, I'm feeling the joy. And then as we move through life, something comes up that's an old narrative. We get to witness it, we get to observe it, and we get to decide that we're going to change it. That's really healing, right? And in week one, we spoke about reinstating not enoughness. Like you were born whole, you were born as this child's God's child. You were born as this little being who was showered with unconditional love, and then you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to behave in a certain way. You just all you did was play, poop, eat, feed, all of those things, and you were like this bundle of joy. That I hope that most of you have had that experience. And if you haven't, I'm so much sending you so much love. I'm just going to let people in. So I'm sending you so much love. If you didn't have that experience, in your childhood. Morning, Brent. I will get you the morning. I'm gonna get you to meet yourself if you can. That'll be amazing. I'm so happy you're here. So, the basic message in week one was that you are born whole, you were born whole, and you didn't really have to do anything to receive love. But then something happened, and okay, everyone's just kind of jumping in now. So I'm going to let people in. And so basically, morning, Audrey, just getting people in. Morning, everyone. So week one was really coming it was a loud reminder that, okay, well, you know what, you were born whole, then you moved away from your wholeness, shit happened, and now what? That was the message. Now what? Shit happened. You fell from the wholeness. You fell from the feeling of walking in life, feeling everything's good with me, everything's whole with me. I'm not lacking in money, in physical beauty, in love, in abundance. But we fell off. Shit happened to all of us, and we felt not enough. So in week one, it was a loud reminder that, you know what? When are you going to come back into your wholeness? Shit happened. Now what? Are you choosing to become whole again? Are you going to spend the next 10 years finding the narrative, what you want to fix, or you want to obviously spin it and go like, you know what? No, I'm going to decide today to become enough. And then we obviously did a declaration in week one that, if you're going to choose being enough every day for the rest of your life. So it wasn't like a declaration for 10 days, 21 days, or whatever. You could start with 21 days, because it's easier to tell yourself, I'm great, I'm capable, I'm limitless, I'm source's highest creation on good days. But what on the days when you want to just curl up and be in bed, when the voice in your head goes like, you're not enough, you're never going to be successful, you're never going to heal, you're never going to find the love, you're never going to have a great life? What on those days? And we fold like a cheap folding chair? Or do we choose enoughness in those days, that no, just because my ex-partner said you're not enough doesn't mean I'm not enough. Just because some client didn't pay me doesn't mean I'm not enough. Or the fact that I injured myself, or I still have chronic pain, doesn't mean I'm not enough, and that doesn't mean I will never heal. The storyline must be repeated every day, that I'm whole, I'm healed, I am enough, and I am enough to achieve and receive and celebrate and live whatever I'm calling in. That is our work. Nobody's coming and doing that for us, right? So we did all of that in week one. Week two was really about understanding where your wounding's been, because again, we were born whole, we fell off, we had some sort of storyline that we each developed. Shit happened, somebody got hurt, somebody got physically hurt, somebody got emotionally hurt, somebody got financially hurt. Each one of us have had our own stories. However, this human experience is so unique that each of our stories are going to be so unique as well. That's our wounding story. So we were like, well, in order for us to heal, we cannot continue with the same story. That is the basic message across this container. If you want to heal, your story has to change. That's when healing occurs. Because if we keep continuously repeating, this is what happened to me, this is consistently what I feel, yes, again, the same message. Shit happened to you, to me, to us. What are we going to do about this? What's our storyline? Or can we become unaware? We're so attached to our suffering. We're so attached to what has happened to us that we're not getting attached to the potential of the new storyline. We're so attached to, no, but this is what happened to me. This is really the lack that I feel. This is how my heart was broken. My money was taken. I was physically hurt. I was emotionally drained. I was devastated. And all of those are our truths. No one gets to question our truth. That's another thing. Nobody. No person on the internet, no mentor, no coach, no healer, no parent, no family, no friend gets to question. That is your truth, and you get to hold it with love, with grace, with respect, with space, whatever we need, right? However, how long are we going to get attached to it? Like, do you see why we're still suffering or why we're still with this? Because we are so attached to the storyline of what has happened to us. And I was in it, and sometimes I'm still in it. Sometimes I'm still in it when I'm creating a new reality, and all the shit from the past comes because everything is programming, right? Whether it's love or money or anything for that matter. And I go like, I'm still attached to the old story of who I've been. So this is the work where you got to change the wounding story. You got to go like, you know what? No, I'm creating a new story. What's going to happen? We're so scared. I think this was the biggest thing that helped me heal was I was so attached to, if I had so much suffering that I was like, this is a part of my identity, and I carried it and I carried it. And I would tell everyone what happened to me till I realized all I was doing is repeating all the nonsense of all the suffering and the lack and how I'm trying to work on something and that I'm not enough because of all the shit that's happened. That 70 trillion cells in my body kept listening to what has happened to me. They are rehearsing the same feelings and vibration and frequency every damn day. Because my storyline was what has happened to me. So that's where we decided in week 2 that we're going to flip our wounding story, and then we're going to create a new story, a new meaning to why it happened to us. That it didn't happen to us, it happened for us, right? And then we obviously vibrate in that for the next 21 days. Of course, you can choose it for lifetime. It's available to you. So today is a very beautiful module. Today is something that is going to really help you anchor in your whole human experience. Forget about 6 weeks, forget about healing, forget about, you're trying to fix something, forget about you have to make money, forget about that you have to heal your body physically, forget about you have to forgive someone, forget about everything for a moment. Like literally, why are we here? We're this soul and this body, and we are the spirit and having a human experience, or you can say anything else, whatever resonates for you with you. But like, if you forget everything for a moment, because 10, 20, 30 years from now nothing will be remembered about us. We're like a little vibrational little molecule in the universe, and here we are holding these big stories about ourselves because they matter. They absolutely do matter, but it's only to us, to be honest. And if you forget everything for a moment, who you are, what's happened, what you're here for, what you're trying to heal, what you're trying to change in your life, what you're trying to bring in, what you're trying to call in, really, on a fundamental level, you, me, Brent, Audrey, Jenny, Ali, anyone who's in this container, Karen, we're essentially all the same. We may have such stories, different storylines, different experiences, different appearances, different life experiences, but essentially what's happening here? We're just soul and body, and we're here for a little time to experience some stuff. And we are basically just a ball of energy. Today, I'm going to share some stuff with you, which might be either very mind blowing or it'll go mind boggling, or it would be like I've heard this for the first time, or it's like I've heard it a lot, but I never really integrated it this way. I'm really inviting you to stretch everything you've ever believed about yourself and your existence, from a place of, you know what, I'm going to play. I'm going to really think and look at life differently, because how I have been looking has not greatly served me in becoming now who I want to become. It served me till now, but I want to look at life differently. We say everything is energy. Everything is energy. Everything is a vibration. Everything is vibrating at something, at a rate, at a frequency. If you look at your whole life that has been and every experience, it has led you to vibrate in a certain frequency. When you were a baby, you were showered with love. Dominantly, babies are in a frequency of love. Then shit happened. Then we felt like some experience happened. We felt not enough. Then we started feeling, when our teachers told us, you made a mistake, our parents told us, we felt shame and guilt. Then our frequency started changing. We felt shame and guilt. We got hurt. We got into the frequency of resentment, anger, or sadness. We were shifted from joy. So the frequencies in our body, our cellular structure started changing. Before, we were just this high vibrational being, and now we're having different frequencies. So I want to share a chart that I learned about like maybe a decade back, which is called a consciousness chart by Dr. R. Hawkins. He is a legend who shared with the world. Where is the share screen? Okay, I want to pull this up. Not believe it, go and research a bit. Don't just take my word for it. But scientifically, if you were put under right now, like you were put under a machine, it'll tell you exactly what frequency you're on. Everything, every cell, atom, molecule. What's happening is your heart's beating, as Dr. Joe Dispenza shares in Breaking the Habit of Being You. Your heart keeps you alive. What keeps us alive? Like the whole storyline's gone in a second the moment we lose our heartbeat. Here we are trying to fix ourselves, bring more money, bring more success, bring more abundance. But we forget, like, if we don't have this beating heart, everything's meaningless, right? That beating heart is actually run by the brain. Brain has tissues. If you look at tissues, you break it down, atoms, cells, molecules. That's what's really happening. And so you got to then understand that, well, what is my molecules vibrating in? Because what's happening is whatever you're vibrating in, that's keeping your head, your heart alive. That is the quality of the life we have. There is no difference right now between the woman I was, who was sad, depressed, really hurt, not enough, in physical pain, in emotional pain, in financial pain. I am still the same person. I have not changed. Yes, what has changed? My vibration has changed, because first I changed my thoughts. Thoughts have an electric charge, it has a frequency. So my thoughts started going from shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, all of those bad things that could happen, how I am not enough, how sad I was in my life. I started changing my thoughts. So my frequency started changing. My cells started vibrating. And then your thoughts create new emotions in your body. They're the feelings. Your feelings then obviously drive you to new behaviors. Now, this is all science. This is the science of human behavior. Thoughts create feelings or emotions. Your emotions drive your behavior. So I did not change essentially as a person. I'm the same person. Nothing happened. But when I learned how my consciousness was creating everything, how my cells, what they were vibrating in, was creating the quality of my life, I absolutely went to nail the consciousness, nail the vibration, because this is the difference. This is why, like, I feel, Audrey, when you say you spent 10 years and nothing helped you in healing. I spent 17 years, around 15 years, trying to feel why I had anxiety, why I didn't feel whole, why I felt not enough, while I had everything, I never felt whole. I always felt there was something wrong with me. I never felt whole in my relationships. It was the fact. And then I went on this whole 15-year process of yoga, meditation, vipassana, 11 days sitting in silence, not like talking to your family. Not, I've done every damn thing under the sun to find why. You see, trying to fix myself. All I had to know, because the thing was, my cells were vibrating in all the lower frequencies. All I had to do was change those frequencies. But we don't know this. So this is the conventional way: is go to yoga, go to meditation, mindset, counseling, all of those things. And don't get me wrong, they all have a place. But why is it that we still find ourselves still looking for answers? And that's why this container, my intention, my desire is that I actually do give you something that will allow to go like, I am not freaking doing this anymore. I'm going straight for the thing that is creating my reality. That's the vibration. That's the consciousness I'm in. Okay. So I want to share with you guys. This chart is from Dr. R. Hawkins. The lowest is 0. So when you do not have a heartbeat, do not have a consciousness, a vibration, before we're born, we're 0, or when we're dead, it's 0. The lowest frequency at which we can vibrate is shame. Then is guilt. Let me see if I can open this one. Okay. Then is shame, guilt, grief, fear. Fear is so huge amongst us in the human experience. Most of the times we're making decisions from fear. Oh, what if I run out of money? What if I never heal? What if my partner leaves and I'm going to never feel loved? I felt that after my divorce. I was like, I never feel, nobody will ever see me the way I am. Nobody will love me, Fear. I've had fear of running out of resources, of, what will happen to me and my children. What are your fears? Look at the wounding story you had. Why are you here? Some of you are here for healing your money. Some of you are healing depression, anxiety. Some of you are healing physical pain. Some of you are healing relationships. What are your biggest fears? What are you generally, what's your dominant state? Now, this is so important to understand this, because when I look back at the version of me that did not feel healed and whole, that felt sad, depressed, broken, not enough. I had physical pain. I had lower back pain all the time. I had injuries in my knees because I had financial fear. Because, all the lower chakras are survival chakras. So your three chakras that are, your base, your sacral, and your solar plexus, they're all about survival. They're all about your sense of self, self-esteem, safety, security. And if your sense of self is all in lower frequencies, you're going to manifest whatever frequencies you're in, they manifest in physical form. So if I'm feeling fear consistently through my thoughts, fear that I will never be enough, fear that I will not be loved, fear that I don't know what my future is. I had anxiety. Why? Because anxiety is your lack of control. Anxiety happens, and I know so many of you mentioned that you've had anxiety, or some of you are still fighting with it. Depression, anxiety, depression is that we're not living in the moment, we're living in the past. When somebody has depression, it's because in the moment, I'm here, but I'm in the consciousness of what has happened to me. I will never be depressed about living in the potential of something, the future. I will never be depressed right now. If I was in the moment right now, my heart's beating, everything's fine, I'm alive. From this aliveness, I can create anything. But I am depressed because I am attached to something I've lost, or something that's happened, something I've experienced, the pain. So you see, I'm here, but I'm living in my past consciousness. Anxiety is lack of control, which means I do not know what will happen to me. There's no sense of self. There's no sense of personal power, that I create things in my life, that everything will happen. That will be for my highest good. So there's a lack of control. I don't know what's happened. This person, will they love me, reject me? Will they pay me, not pay me? Will I be fine in life, not fine in life? Will I heal or not heal? Will I? So all of these what ifs, when we play them wrong, and when we play them like, I have no certainty, I have absolutely zero personal power, we have anxiety. That's why I had anxiety. So when I look at that past version of me, you see, generally my state was this. I was in shame because of all the past things, that my marriage didn't work, or I wasn't good enough, or I didn't have emotional intelligence, or, like I was depressed about the things I had lost, or I was in grief or guilt. There was a lot of guilt also. So clearing all of those things, every day asking myself, I did this in the money program. I know a lot of you guys did 5 figures in 21 days with me. Everything you experience in your reality is a byproduct. The money is responding to the frequency. The partners are responding, whether you have a partner, you don't, whether your partner loves you, they don't understand you fully, they don't see you, is because this is the frequency we're vibrating in, right? So when we feel this guilt every day, when I started healing, I asked myself, what am I ashamed of? What am I ashamed of? Who do I want to forgive? What do I want to forgive myself for? You see, these are the questions. I'm going to give you some prompts today. But essentially, when I look back, my loves, I was just in such lower frequencies. Most of my day, if I looked at it, from the time I would wake up till I would go to bed, I would worry about, I would either be sad, so I was in sadness that my marriage didn't work, or this didn't happen, or that didn't happen, or, that fact that how did I end up in a life where I didn't want this? I had big, great dreams for me. How was I in this reality? So I had a lot of shame around who I had become. Because here, everybody wants a great life, and, I was like really qualified, highly educated. I had great things. We all want to expect great things from life. And then I ended up being in a reality where I was like, ooh, this is not at all what I wanted in life. So I had a lot of shame, guilt. I had anger towards my past partners, towards life, towards God, towards source. Why did you do this to me? Right? Some of you may be experiencing that. Maybe you're anxious, maybe you're depressed, maybe you're angry at source because you've gone through some stuff and you're like, the biggest thing was I never understood. So you may be questioning, why did you do this to me? Why did I have to go through this? Right? Like I had to ask myself why one after another, like my childhood, then broken relationships, then a divorce, then another relationship, then financial stuff. I'm like, why? Why me, man? So I'm sure you question that. And then there's this undercurrent of anger with source. But what are we essentially doing? We're actually being in the lower frequencies. And if you see this is where the contraction is. We want to expand, you see. So this is where your contraction is happening. So we're just in the suffering state. We're just getting by in life. We're not in flow state. We're not in ultimate consciousness where things are happening and money's flowing and love is flowing and, joy is flowing. And we're like, we can't even think about creating greater realities. We're just suffering and we're just trying to heal ourselves and getting by. And there's a lot of contraction happening in these consciousness. So the work here is to understand today what frequencies are you guys like operating in. Ask yourself. Now, here's the quick question, like the greatest question you can ask yourself. What is my dominant state of being? What is the dominant state of being I'm in? What is the frequency that I'm most in through the day? You will blow your own mind when you see what you're mostly vibrating in. Reflect on your day. When you wake up, and maybe you're grateful, you say I love you to yourself, and like you hug yourself, or you look at your partner, you say I'm grateful for you. Are you even doing that? Or you're like, your story of misery starts from the moment you wake up. Then you wake up, you make your coffee, are you appreciating every moment? Are you in gratitude, or you're like, you're having your coffee and then the shit from the past comes up? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling grief? Are you feeling neutral? That's also a good place to be in. Or are you feeling shame? Are you feeling fear? I can tell you, when I look back, most of my dominant days was shame, guilt, and fear. I lived a lot in fear. Most of my day was like, I don't know if this will ever change. So that's fear. When I don't know if this will change, means my lack of personal power, means the lack of self-belief, means that I fear I have no zero control. Like I felt like I did not know what my life will look like. And I still do not know. You see, there's a shift of perspective. I still do not know how my life looks like. But now I'm playing in the field of infinite possibilities. And that's called what? That's called the play. That means I do not absolutely know what's the next thing that's coming or what I will do in 6 months. I absolutely do not know. That's called the walking into the unknown. That's what Dr. Joe Dispenza helped me walk into. And, like really building that courage that, you know what, I'll still be fine. So you still surrender. You don't need lack. You don't need control. It's a very beautiful surrender versus the state of, I don't know what's happening, but the filter, the glasses we're looking through this experience is fear. I am still in the position of, I don't know what's going to happen, but there is what? Excitement. There is there. So if you look at these higher things, there's peace. There's 600 frequencies of peace that I know that whatever happens to me, I'll be fine. Whatever happens to me, can you move from fear that, oh my God, I don't know what will happen, because the same realities are there. You don't know because you don't want to limit yourself. You're like, I'm walking into the field of infinite potential. I don't know what's going to happen. But you're not like, oh my God, I'm fearful. I don't know what's the next thing, versus I have so much peace and excitement and joy around what could happen next. Same situations, different lens, different perspective. I want to give you an example also to help you shift through this. Recently, I've been reading, a book called Love, Eight Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. And there was this, as much as I can now remember, there was this line that he just quoted. He was like, the difference between solitude and loneliness. Because I was there, earlier when I was alone, I would be feeling lonely. So after my divorce and separation, and I spent a lot of time by myself, initially I'd be like really sorry for myself and feel lonely and all of those things, till I actually went into a state of, oh my God, this feels so good. Like solitude was my thing. I just wanted to be by myself, just spend time getting to know myself, all of those things. So what's the difference between loneliness and solitude? It's the same thing. You're by yourself, but your perception is different. The lens is different. Solitude means you are in the joy of being alone, and loneliness means you're in the sorrow of being alone. And it just blew my mind. Like when I read that, I was like, exactly, it's the perspective. Because in both situations, one is alone, one is just by themselves. But if you're sorry for being by yourself, you're going to feel lonely. But if you're going to celebrate and see the joy in being alone, it's called solitude. And it's incredible. So let's go back to your unique situation. I really invite you to look at, okay, well, why are you here? You guys found out about your wounding story. You know why you're here. The way to change this, the way to heal from, primarily, I know a lot of you guys are sad about something, or you're depressed, or you're anxious, or you're wanting to heal physical pain, you're wanting to heal some mental storyline around money, physical appearances, relationships, healing what has happened to you, holding some trauma from your past. No matter what it is, you guys are in a consciousness right now, and the healed version of you is having a different consciousness. That's all. You're right now, your consciousness is made of how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and the actions you're taking. And they all have an electric magnetic charge. They all have a frequency. And that version of you that is fully healed also has thoughts, feelings, and actions, and has a state of consciousness, state of being. So the invitation to you now is to look at this chart and really just internally reflect on, through the day, what are your dominant thoughts? Because that's the consciousness you're in. Are you more in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear? Fear is a big one. I've worked with thousands of people in the last, few years, whether before it was online, in the physical space, Fear is one of the biggest things that we all experience as human beings. Are we, what are your thoughts? Because your thoughts are basically this frequency. If your thought is that I don't know how, I am frustrated, frustration is also a lower frequency. Frustration means you're either in shame that this thing hasn't worked for you, or you're in anger. When we're frustrated, we're between these shades of, and that just means what? I'm in this state. I am not in the consciousness of the healed version, because the healed version of me does not go like, I don't know why this is not working out for me. The healed version of me goes like, I'm so grateful. So she's actually in, if we are just surviving, we will never feel healed. We'll never feel whole. We haven't gone to the depth of feeling the expansion. What are we in? We're in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride as well. Because we receive something and we're like, I have made this, I have done this, this is, I manifested this, I did this. So, And there is another way of sharing your celebrations. There's no pride to it. It's more like celebration, right? So in all of this, if you see, these are just the survival paradigm where we're just surviving. No way will we ever feel like tribal that, oh my God, like talk about wholeness, talk about what's the next thing. I'm limitless. I'm a magnet to bigger, greater things. Now I'm moved from survival into, just coming into more of my being, my energy, my personal power, my integrity, because God Source Universe has given me all the higher faculties. So I'm going to start doing what? I'm going to be more courageous. I'm going to take bigger actions. I'm going to be trusting. I'm not going to be spending time being sorry for myself. I'm not going to be spending most time in fear through my day. What if I never heal? What if I don't make money? What if I don't find the love of my life? What if my life is not good? What if all my life I remain like this? That was a big one. And I've worked with many people who always think like what their life is today is how it's going to be for the next 10 years. Because it has been like that for the last 10 years, right? But what are we doing? When we think like this, we're projecting the past 10 years into the future 10 years. Great. You project that, that's what you're going to get. If I projected that consistently, that's what I was getting till I realized, hang on, what I'm projecting consistently, that means what I'm vibrating in, what are my thoughts, feelings, and actions, that's what I'm going to get. If I sow the seeds of fear, I'm going to get the fruit of fear. If I sow the seeds of celebration, of joy, of peace, of love, of trust, of gratitude, I'm going to reap the fruits of all of those, of gratitude, of joy, of abundance, of health. So that then you'd ask me, how do I do it, right? Prachi, how do I go from suffering to this? How do I? Well, I'll give you a very simple answer. Nobody but you can do this. No therapist, no doctor, no psychologist, no coach, no mentor, no whatever. You go and pay the best psychologist in the world, they will give you the skills. You have to do it because you're that powerful. Nobody can touch you, nobody can destroy you, nobody can ever heal you unless you choose to do that yourself, right? Let me know if this is landing for you because that was like the biggest thing that helped me understand that how powerful I am because I was floating around 15 years thinking somebody will fix me. So the first question that you could ask yourself is, what is my dominant frequency? Because the moment we realize that, aha, this is my state of being, this is my consciousness, that I'm mostly vibrating either in fear or anger or guilt or shame. And most of you would go like, yeah, but I don't have shame around anything. I'm a great human being. That's great. Think again. I work with thousands of people now, and I can tell you what, and this was the same with me. I had unconscious shame. I had shame around the fact that my life didn't turn out the way I wanted. I had shame around the fact that I didn't become the version of me that I thought I will. I had shame around the fact that, this crumbled or that crumbled, or, I didn't have the energy, or I had depression, or I had shame around all of this, which I didn't actually realize, but I judged my own human. I judged my own self for not reaching my potential for potential. I was surviving. So there was unconscious shame. So it is so fascinating when we start looking at the consciousness we've been. You'll be like, I don't want to do anything else. I straight away want to change my consciousness. This really ties in also with your wounding story because you guys realized week 2, module 2, what's been your wounding story? Now look at the wounding story has a consciousness. Your wounding story has a frequency. And whether or not you want to believe it right now, my loves, or you want to take it on board, your current reality is a byproduct of what your consciousness has been around that wounding. Something happened 10 years back, something happened 5 years back, something happened 6 years back. We have an electric charge to it because it has thoughts, feelings, and that has a vibration. It has a frequency. It has a consciousness of its own, our storyline. Currently, our life is a byproduct of what our wounding story is, the consciousness. Now, you're being invited to create a healing story. You're being invited to go like, I blew my mind because the moment I realized that I was in this lower consciousness, all I did was I changed my consciousness. How do you change your consciousness is the next thing we address then. But we aren't changing anything until we actually know what we're trying to do, right? And if you really want to hit a point where it's like, I quantum leaped, I went from so much suffering to this beautiful version of me who was whole, abundant, a magnet to great and beautiful things. You want to be here. You want to be in the spiritual paradigm where every day you just experience love. How do we experience love? You got to love yourself so deeply. We're not talking about just taking bath soaks, putting face creams on. That's all a form of self-love. Love for who you've been, what you've gone through, the people who hurt you, send you them love, forgive yourself, forgive them. One of the things that really truly helped me was the Ho'oponopono mantra. Like I have it even tattooed on my chest. It came to me at a point where I really needed to heal my heart and open my heart and forgive everyone, because that has such a beautiful thing. When you love someone, you cannot hate someone. Two different frequencies. If you love yourself, you cannot hate yourself. If you love yourself, you can't fear anything that is a shadow aspect of you, because you're like, I'm in charge. I love myself. I'm not feeling anything else. You love the past, you love the shit, you love the experience that broke you. You love the wounding, you love the experience that created the wounding. That shit happened situation, that incident or incidents or trauma, send love to it. You want to quantum leap, you want to hyperspeed heal. That's what we're doing. We're not taking baby steps here. Can we take baby steps? Yes, but you guys have been taking baby steps for 10 years. That's my understanding. So we're here to do hyperspeed, right? Can we go from fear to love? We can. If we daily remind ourselves, because our human will contract, the human will feel fear. And it happens to me too. Remind yourself, can I love myself? Can I choose love every day over fear? Like there's a whole chapter in my book about faith over fear. So definitely read that. Choose faith over fear every day. Faith that more money will come. Faith that you are enough. Faith that you will have the best life beyond your wildest dreams. Faith that abundance is here. Faith that you will heal from whatever you believe that you can't heal from. Faith from everything, or you can choose fear. I mean, I don't know if this will happen. I don't know if this will happen. I don't know, because for the last 10 years it's not happened. I don't know if this will happen. I don't know if I'll find the love of my life. I don't know if I'll ever become the richest version of myself. I don't know if I will have a great life. I don't know. What are we doing? We're either choosing faith or fear. Choice. So if we want to quantum leap, we want to go from shame, guilt, we want to go into joy. So there's this chapter in my book where and I want to teach you how to really go from shame and fear into joy every day. It's everyday work. Chapter number 2, page 18, personal power versus circumstantial power is the chapter you want to read. This is all about how I went from fear into joy, because I wanted a quantum leap. I wanted to be like, I've had enough suffering. I cannot do this anymore. So I would, just create safety and joy by holding a cup of tea when my life was crumbling. I had physical pain, I had emotional pain, I had financial pain. Take the cup of tea or coffee and make it so joyful that every sip you take, you don't care about anything else. You don't care about your bank balance. You don't care about how bad your hair looks, how your partner's fought with you or something's wrong. No. When you have this cup of tea, your whole focus is to find joy in every sip. Sounds easy. Start doing it and see how difficult it is, because we go finding joy everywhere. We'll feel joy when we heal. We'll feel joy when we have the love. We'll feel joy when I have more money. We'll feel, no, no, no. Can you find joy in your cup of tea right now and vibrate in joy? And if you did this every day, your consciousness is going to be of joy. It is that simple. That's what I did. Was it easy? Initially, it was very hard. But you see what's happening here. So we're quantum jumping how? All we're doing is we're shifting the consciousness. If from a woman, so today when I invited you to ask yourself, what's your dominant frequency? Say maybe you operate in love, but many times through the day, people irritate you, your workers, co-workers irritate you, or your mother calls you and bitches about or talks about your aunt or your friend or whatever is your scenario. You fall off and you are generally around environments where people are criticizing other people. That's all guilt and shame and anger and frustration. You're not essentially in love frequency. If even you're entertaining those things, right? So what's really happening is you got to figure out what you watch, who you talk to, who you're around, what are the people talking about. All of that is creating a frequency. If you're watching sad movies and you're generally happy, but you're watching sad movies, it's a part of your consciousness. If your friends are talking about other people badly, you don't talk, but you're listening, you're dropping your consciousness, you're dropping your frequency. It is that powerful when you understand that all you got to do is create more of these higher frequencies. Love. Can you love yourself? Can you love the people from your past? Can you love that incident that happened? This is a big one. Because this is where can you feel already? I can feel the energetic shift in our bodies because we've been called upon to expand. And I can feel, this energy bubbling up in our chest because I'm tapped into the collective energy right now. The very incident that created that trauma, that story, that wounding, and that led for years of suffering, we have this an energetic charge. We have anger around it. We have shame. We have guilt. We have resentment. But can I every day sit and send it love? My throat's feeling things right now. I can feel emotions build up. But whatever's happened, can you send it so much love that you dissolve your suffering? You collapse that energetic charge around this shit happened to me, and your charge becomes that love. You're going to get different thoughts. You're going to get like, this happened for me, like move on, let this made me the best version. I look at all the suffering and I go like, I would have never become this woman if I didn't go through all that, right? And same is for you, same is for each one of you. Like, your storyline is your biggest gift. But are we judging or we're shaming that storyline, or we actually sending it so much love that it becomes this force field, this power, this energy, this force field around us that then propels us forward and forward and forward, because now all we have to do is be in the energy of, I love what happened to me. It's hard. We cannot love because that thing that happened to us created suffering. But I look at my divorce, I go like, well, I would have never become this person if I didn't. I go through the suffering. I go through why Source took my mother. I went through why I had scoliosis, physical pain, everything. Why I had depression, why I had anxiety. And then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like now I understand everything I've overcome, like this is why I had to become this. Or I can sit and keep judging what happened to me. And then I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck with the same reality of suffering. And it's a big ask to send love to something that, feels like there's a charge of suffering. But that's the quantum leaping. That's where like, oh my God, I'm in a whole new consciousness. And I promise you, from the depth of my heart, from all my being, hand on my heart, I promise you, if you do this, if you genuinely do this and you sit and you send love to what you feel there is hatred and guilt and shame, If you send love to that incident, you send love to the people who hurt you, you send love to your own self, really, truly, you will not be in the same consciousness 1 week from now. You will not be feeling the same suffering you've suffered for 10 years. I promise you that. So, as I said, the question really is then how do we shift? How do we shift our consciousness? Start looking at your dominant frequency. Start becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. You have trained yourself, like I had, we all do. We have patterns. We train ourselves to subconsciously keep thinking through the day what we have gone through. And that's why we have a programming, and that's why the next 10 years will look the same, how we have had, unless we become conscious of our unconscious thoughts. Become more conscious. What are you thinking through the day? And if it's a thought of this happened, and that happened and this happened, then create new positive thoughts. What does that mean? Replace your guilt and shame and resentment for gratitude. Stop focusing on big things. Stop focusing on what you want and the $10,000 month or the man or the woman. Are you alive right now? Are you grateful for it? No, we're too busy wanting the next thing. We're too busy. No, no, no. We start with basics. That's what I've shared in the book, right? This is what I had to do. I had to start finding gratitude for just my existence. I had to bring in joy in my cup of tea. While I had a whole world around me crumbling, I didn't have money, I was sad, I was depressed, and here I am trying to sit and just find joy. And when I trained myself, initially it was very hard, but when I trained myself enough, it became a thing. It was like my brain had been kind of rewired, and it was a habit that coffee became a ritual that I was like, I'm just so happy with this. That's when the universe responds. That's when all the other laws work. Law of attraction, like attracts like. You vibrate in love, you will get love. You vibrate in joy, you are going to get more situations in your life that are going to bring you joy, right? So identify what your dominant consciousness has been. Identify your consciousness around your wounding story. Identify, you know, what are your main thoughts through the day, thoughts and feelings? Are you more sorry or more joyful? Are you more, doesn't mean that you can't be, having mixed emotions run through the day. You could be the happiest person in the world, but you could still have, moments of, oh, I'm not feeling so good right now. There's this whole thing about manifestation where people think, oh, if you just get sad, you will not manifest. That's it. For years, I believed this. It's all bullshit. Let me tell you that. It's got nothing to do with this. It's your dominant frequency. If your dominant frequency, your consciousness, your state of being is joy, love, acceptance, peace. If you had a couple of bad days in between, or you lie in bed for 4 hours and you feel sorry for yourself, or something's happened, or you're navigating a big emotion, your manifestations will not stop, because your general dominant state of being, your consciousness is everything is always working out for me. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to cry for 4 hours. So do not fool yourself that because you felt something, or you felt sad, or you felt something, that you're not going to get what you want. But are you doing this consistently? That means then your consciousness is of lack or sadness and shame and all. Then obviously the dominant state is the consciousness. That's what's creating our reality. The other thing I really wanted to talk to you guys was that this is the frequency. So understanding what consciousness you're in. And today I also wanted to talk to you about the unified field, the unified consciousness, and how to really use it to heal forever. There's a chapter in my book about the unified consciousness, and I want to share something with you guys around unified consciousness. It's on page 109. So the unified consciousness, I'm going to share something with you and then break this down. The unified consciousness, the interconnectedness of this playground, I say it's a playground, this whole human experience. The interconnectedness of this playground will blow your mind. We're all connected by an ethereal thread, made by the same source, made of the same consciousness. We're all connected. We're all one. We're all limitless. We all exist in timeless space, as do the things and experiences we are calling into our life. We separate ourselves from each other and our desires when we move into our identities, human, and create this separation. The awareness and embodiment of unified consciousness can allow us to tap into the ease of access to all manifestations in the quantum world and all the potentiality and the limitlessness in this world. When we remember who we truly are and live each day in alignment, we can remember the power within us. We remember that we are limitless beings. We become aware that we can desire and receive what we wish from the limitless universe, limitless abundance, limitless love, limitless potential, limitless creativity, limitless pleasure, limitless magnetism, limitless health, limitless impact. When we learn to remember that we came here to play, we learn to play. We learn to reclaim our limitlessness. We learn to move away from hustle into play. We learn to play into our desired realities. I invite you to think about this before moving on to the next chapter. Am I allowing myself to feel connected to my desires, the things, the beings, and the experiences I'm calling in? Are you really allowing yourself, or you're restricting or you're blocking yourself based on your past storylines? That's such a big question. I often find, myself forgetting to ask myself this as well. It's a good opportunity to remember that, are we actually giving ourselves permission, or we're too caught up in the past consciousness? And why I really wanted to share the unified consciousness with you is because of one thing. Everything is one. That healed version of you is one with this broken version of you. It all exists in the field. It's the same thing. What are you choosing to see? Like solitude and loneliness, they both exist. It's the same thing happening, but the perception has changed. When I am in solitude, I'm celebrating, I'm the glory of being alone. When I'm lonely, I'm feeling sorry for myself, but yet same thing's happening. I'm just by myself. There is a version of me that has experienced something and is feeling sorry and broken and not enough and sad and angry and depressed about this. And there's a healed version of me who's gone through this, but is really celebrating life, standing in courage, sending love to the past version, going, really putting her energy into what is and what can be versus what has been. So there's a shift of perception. We are so powerful that in the moment I decide that, you know what, healed, go on, this happened, now what? Those words, if spoken with all honesty and truth, is the only healing that is ever needed for me or for you. This happened, now what? So the unified consciousness just teaches us everything exists. If you're here to heal your relationship with money, all the money in the world exists. If you're here to heal physically, let me share with you all the health that ever could exist on the planet, which is radiance in energy, vibration, higher dimensions. It all exists. All the abundance, the pleasure, the joy, the human experiences of ecstasy, whatever you're calling it all exists. Why don't you and me have it? Whatever you do, you believe you don't have, or whatever I believe I don't have, it all exists. I am not seeing it exist for me. That's all. I have to put the glasses, it exists. The moment I start seeing it, every day start observing it, it will suddenly become mine. Because nothing else is changing. Nothing from the past is changing. It has all happened. So where will my healing happen? My healing will happen with baby steps, or just the choice that I am every day now going to have my cup of tea, my food, look at my partner, look at my children, look at when I'm walking my dog or I'm brushing my hair, look in the mirror and go like, I love who I am. Or I could sit and go, whatever thoughts I have already. It's the projection that I start putting out in the field through my thoughts, through my actions, that is going to change the game. Nothing outside will change anything else. I do this every day. My consciousness changes, and I have fully decided I'm just changing my glasses. Suddenly, from the non healed version, I become the healed version. From the not so wealthy version, I become the wealthy version. From the heartbroken version, I become the whole healed, in love version. What's changed? I'm just starting to observe my consciousness differently. That's all. So every day when you now get thoughts of fear because you programmed yourself to believe, will this work? Will I heal? Will I be enough? Will I get the money? Will I get whatever it is? You choose the power of second thought. You go like, okay, well, this is what has been the programming. I'm going to choose a new thought, right? So we do that. The most important thing about the unified consciousness is that everything just exists, everything is one. And also the fact that people who hurt you, maybe it was an experience, maybe there are, for some of you, there are people who've hurt you in the past, there's life that's hurt you. We have to realize that nothing is separate from us. Everything we witness in our reality is us pushed out. That means everything is actually one consciousness. And do we want to go through suffering? No, we absolutely did. Nobody wanted that, you go through pain and you get hurt or I get hurt, but we got it. Now it's about understanding why we got it. Maybe we had soul contracts. Maybe it was we were the chosen ones to go through this experience so that we turn around our story so much that we become the popcorn effect for another being. I don't know what is the reason, but ultimately there has to be some reason we need to give to ourselves to believe that this happened for me, not to me. And the moment we start doing this, we start really coming to a personal power. Your healing is going to blow your mind because your healing was never in a therapy, a modality, a session, anything. Your healing was in your perception. Your healing was in your consciousness. Your healing was in your own hands. And today, you're literally giving yourself the permission, going like, you know what, enough. I'm not going to see myself as the broken version. I'm not going to see myself as the broke-ass version, or I'm not going to see myself as not enough. I'm not going to see myself as whatever you've been seeing yourself as. That's all.